Welcome, everyone, to this edition of We're Not Alone here on Queen City News Plus. I'm your host, Meg A. Beeler, Chief Transportation Correspondent here at Queen City News, also the host of We're Not Alone and a pilot of over 40 years and counting, infatuated with all things flying, the wild blue yonder and beyond. So this year I've had the joy of putting together wonderful episodes featuring experts and experiencers, those who have had contact with aliens and their own experiences that have to do with everything involving high strangeness and the unknown. So now we put all these episodes together for a 1-hour special. And first up, we're going to talk about Michael Pratt. We're going to introduce you to this UFO investigator. He's also a very well-known military aerospace historian. And Michael has investigated and compiled information on more than 50,000 documented alien or UAP encounters. Take a look. We're going to look at these renderings. What are they? What do they mean? What do they represent?
They represent the best possible effort to maintain an important part of our national history and make the cases come alive. That's what this is all about.
Yeah, so I want people to understand these aren't stick figures. These aren't drawings from a figment of your imagination, not something you've seen in a sci-fi movie or a book. These depict real, actual, historical cases, and some maybe that have never seen the light of day. Is that correct?
That's correct. And they all have paperwork and documentation to back them up.
Right. And you've been doing this for over 25 years?
Long time.
A long time. Let me ask you before we get started, because we have 5 cases we're going to talk about today. Since you've been doing this for 25 years, what has your impression of UFOs, UAPs, how has that changed over the years with what you have learned and investigated and discovered?
What I've learned after looking at so many cases now is that there is absolutely a man-made component to this. Now, I'm not saying that everything is man-made, because if you go back into the historical archives, we've got cases from the Roman times of 100 BC where they thought of these as flying shields. So this goes back quite into the past. However, when you're looking at these cases, there is a common denominator running through a lot of these cases. For example, many witnesses report tubes, pipes, and cylinders on the bottom of the craft. Other people report prongs with spheres at the end of them. So there's absolutely a man-made component to this.
Interesting. And that's what I really like about the interviews we have done with you, different perspective of what UFOs and UAPs are. And you are an acclaimed military and aviation historian. You are a pilot. So you're most certainly tuned into this. So let's get started. What case do you want to start with today?
We're going to start with Cash Landrum.
Okay.
Cash Landrum case. Mm-hmm.
All right. So what is that? When did this happen? And why is it important?
That's okay. So hopefully we've got our illustration here. So the time frame is December 29th, 1980, Huffman, Texas. We've got 3 eyewitnesses, and that's our great illustration. 3 eyewitnesses. We've got Betty Cash, we've got Vicki Landrum, we've got Colby Landrum. It's 9:30 p.m., December 29th, 1980, Huffman, Texas. They're going south on 1485 highway. Colby Landrum is sitting in the back seat, and this is top 3 within ufology. Top 3. It's right up there. You know, this made it all the way to Unsolved Mysteries. So this is a huge case within ufology. Colby Landrum was sitting in the back seat, and he saw a white light approaching, and all of a sudden, night literally turned into day. Night turned into day. They thought it was the second coming of Christ. They didn't know what they were looking at. What they saw was a 90-foot tall double ice cream cone that was connected at the wide ends. Around the outer circumference, there were porthole windows that were lit up. Now, Betty Cash was driving the car. She slammed on the brakes because this thing was parked 150 feet in front of her vehicle. Vicki Landrum went forward, put her hands on the dashboard, and her hands and fingers were melted into the dashboard. So already it's strange. And it's cold at night. Betty Cash gets out of the vehicle, opens up the door, walks toward the front hood of the vehicle. She's watching all this. Now, this craft is bobbing up and down. There's blue colored flame coming out of the bottom of it. So every time this craft would go down, a blue colored flame would come out of the bottom of this thing. And it was making a beeping noise, like a proximity indicator was going on. This is all what's going on here. She looked at this craft at close range for at least 3 minutes. And when she started to walk back toward the driver's side door, she reached down, touched the handle of the door, and burned her hand.
Oh my
She
gosh.
burned her hand on the handle of the door. She had to use the flaps of her leather jacket to open up the car door. Now, when she got back inside, it was so burning hot inside, they had to turn the air conditioner on.
Oh my
And it's December 29th, 1980. It's already winter out, but it was so hot they had to turn the air conditioner on. Now, within a matter of 3 minutes, there were no less than 23 double rotor Chinook CH-47 helicopters chasing after this thing with spotlights going after this thing. Now, within a matter of minutes of this happening, all 3 witnesses suffered from the severe effects of radiation poisoning. And they sued the government for $20 million, but the case was thrown out of court for lack of evidence. And that's how it went down.
Wow.
Yes. Yes.
You know, I have to say, you're an excellent storyteller, but you're not telling a story. This is
real.
This is a factual account. Welcome back, everyone, to this edition of We Are Not Alone. Michael Schrout joins us today. He's an acclaimed UFO investigator who has researched 50,000 UFO, UAP incidents, many very high-profile, historic, and some that have never seen the light of day. So, Michael, we welcome you back. The next case you're going to talk about, Colusa, California. Tell us about that.
That is correct. That is correct. So, 1976. The primary witness, it's 11:30 p.m. at night, and he's watching television, not thinking anything of it. All of a sudden, May-Kay, the television conks out. The air conditioner concurrently goes out at the second time. So he's thinking, I don't know what's going on. He goes out of his building. He goes back to the circuit breaker box, and you can see him here. He opened up the circuit breaker box. Everything seemed to be okay. The next thing he noticed is the hair on his arms was standing up. The hair on his chest was standing up vertically. The hair on his head was standing up vertically. Not only that, it was sparkling and cracking. The whole localized area was permeated in the static electrical field. He looks up, and you can see in our illustration here, he sees a 140-foot diameter dish-shaped craft. Now, on the very top of it, it had a dome like we're always familiar with. However, this one was different. It looked like a lemon squeezer, or one of those vintage orange squeezers, because it had ridges on it. So that was seen. He also said that there were prongs sticking down from this thing. And then he said there were conduit pipes with frayed edges that I'm calling, they look a lot more like ramen noodles. That was seen as well. Now, off to the left, there was a similar craft that was half the diameter. So this main craft was 140 feet in diameter. The other ones were 70 feet in diameter. The one on the left was pulling power off the 500,000 volt power lines, causing them to become cherry red.
Interesting.
So we've got secondary effects here. It's a close encounter of the first kind because it's a visual sighting. It's a close encounter of the second kind because there were physical effects. The power lines were becoming cherry red. Now, at this point, this guy said, I don't know what I'm dealing with here. He goes inside the house. He wakes up his wife and 2 kids. They open up the blinds, looking outside the back window, and they see the large craft flanked on either side by 2 smaller craft, and they're pulling power off the 500,000 power lines. And then the large craft goes from a dead standstill. And if you look very closely, way in the back of this illustration, you'll see there's these low rolling hills. It went from its current position to hovering over those low rolling hills in the background, and did it in less than 1 second. And they were 25 nautical miles away. It repeated the same operation, came back to its original position, did that in 1 second. So it had traversed 50 miles in less than 2 seconds and made no sonic boom back in 1976. Now, when he saw this, he said, you know what? I don't know what this thing is. I have no idea what I'm dealing with. We're going to get out of here. So he piles his wife and 2 kids in the pickup truck. They go screaming down the driveway at 90 miles an hour. The large craft is following them, goes over the cab of the vehicle to where the wife is, comes back over the top of the cab of the vehicle to where the driver is. They end up at the end of the driveway where the neighbors are. They pile out of the car, slam on the door of the neighbors. 2 neighbors get out. So now we have 6 witnesses that see the large craft depart at a 45-degree angle.
All right. How do you make sense of this?
Well, I gave a lecture at International UFO Congress about this case, and it's been about 5 years. And a guy came up to me. He says, Michael, I know what those conduit pipes are. I know what those frayed edges are. I said, you do? And he says, yes, I do. And he said, they're static wicks. They're used to dissipate static electrical charges within a localized field. Now, if you look at the trailing edge of airliners,
I was going to say, we
they
have those on our
static
airplanes.
wicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Same thing. So it's screaming a man-made technology here.
Interesting. Why
Yep.
did it come back over the car though? If they're trying to get away, what purpose is
Who
it?
knows? Who knows? But they were racing down the driveway at 90 miles an hour. Yes, they were. Newspaper clippings, very well. It's about a 15-page report. There's drawings and sketches. This is our very best illustration, just to give people an idea of what this thing looks like. Now, before this thing departed, you see those prongs on the right and left-hand side? They retracted into the bottom of the vehicle, and then these gooseneck lights popped out too, which you can see shining down. And he saw all this, a very credible witness.
So that was, wow. That was in 1976.
This is in 1976. So if we had this technology, Mackay, back in 1976,
Yeah.
what was Saturn V for? If we go back, the breakthroughs in this technology were made October 1954 timeframe.
Yeah. What was that for? Just to fool everybody, or just
I
to?
know. The implications are unbelievable. We talked about Challenger last time. Was Krista McAuliffe briefed on this technology? Why are we still using liquid rockets today when we've got this technology?
Well, that is so sad to think Krista McAuliffe and the others lost their lives.
I know.
If that was needless.
It was needless. That's correct. Because we already have the technology.
This is mind-blowing. Yeah. Michael, have we seen these type of odd vessels since then? Any reports since 1976?
There's so many different configurations. We've got dish-shaped craft. We've got cigar-shaped craft. We've got triangular-shaped craft. We've got boomerang-shaped craft. Now all the rage is the flying platforms. So as we go through the decades, the configuration of the vehicles change.
Welcome back, everyone, to Queen City News, this special edition of We Are Not Alone. All right, up next, we have the intriguing story of Deborah Jordan Cobble, best-selling author. She had an experience in her backyard that changed her life, and it was featured in a movie and a best-selling book. Take a look. Deborah, so you're in your mother's yard, and you see these children running around, and something very bright was there, and it's some type of ship, and you can barely see everything so bright, and your body's burning and vibrating. Did you feel fear? I know you said you couldn't move. Were you full of fear?
Oh yeah, my first thought was, oh my God, I'm dead. I was gonna die. Then when I saw this thing, I had no idea. I still don't know to call it a ship doesn't seem right, because there's no way. It was small. It wasn't much bigger than the pump house for the swimming pool, and so I couldn't imagine it flying across the galaxy with 6 little kids in it. But I don't know what it was, but it was there. And
what is that? What we're looking at here?
Now this is from these things were from something that happened in April of the following year with my mother.
Oh my God.
And then that's something that I remember. I woke up laying in the backyard in the grass, and I looked up, and that was above me. And this was at a different time. But this event in 83, the people that I was going to go cut patterns with, whenever this was over with, I remember standing, on the patio, and then I heard my name being called. And that was my mom, who stuck her head out the door. And as soon as I heard her voice, I was able to move, and all of this stuff went away. I mean, I felt something really big and weird just happened, but my mind was wiped until I saw the mark in the yard a couple of days later.
Okay.
And yeah, that circle is that picture's a little deceiving. It was 8 feet in diameter, and that streak is 49 feet long, went all the way across the backyard and ended in an arc. And all that grass was laid down. It took 2 years for 2.5 years, maybe a little longer, for the grass to grow back in, and snow melted off of it the first year. Whenever time it snowed, that this is what we would get. And Bud eventually did soil samples on it, and he had to bake it at like 800 degrees for 12 hours for it to be that hard and dry, but still couldn't get it to the point where it wouldn't even accept water like this soil was. But anyway, the following days, this mark appeared in the yard. Once I saw it, I started to remember that night. My mother also remembered that night. She made the comment that, "Oh, that's where the UFO landed the other night." And I didn't get it. I looked at her like, "What? Why would you say that?"
Yeah.
Then I started to remember the lights, the pain, everything. And then I will say, I was diagnosed with cataracts and macular degeneration in my 30s, and I lost my eyes lenses. After that, I was sick for a whole year afterwards. My fingernails are like paper, and they peel off. A lot of my hair thinned out. I mean, all kinds of weird physical things started happening to me, and then weird mental things. I felt like I had a nerve. As soon as I saw that mark in the yard, I started remembering stuff from that night, and even stuff from years ago that I just had kind of, put up in that weird shelf and said, I don't know what that was. Moving on.
Special thanks to Deborah Jordan Cobble for sharing that story with us. Oh my goodness. If you want to see more of it, it's streaming right here on Queen City News. You can watch anytime. Now, don't go anywhere. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back when this special show of We Are Not Alone continues. Welcome back, everyone, to Queen City News Plus. We are not alone. I'm your host, May K. Beeler. All right, get ready, because in our next half hour, we've got a lot for you. We're going to meet a man who has investigated dozens and dozens of supposed alien species who are right here on Earth and in the universe. Plus, we're going to talk about an explosive, groundbreaking documentary that everybody is talking about, and it features some of the highest-ranking officials and members of past and present presidential administration. But first up, best-selling author Craig Campobasso. He talks about his book, The Extraterrestrial Species Almanac. I can't wait to learn about the different species and how do you know they exist and who have you met and are they here and do I need to be scared and do I know one? What was your first experience? You said have you met one of these aliens?
Well, I went on a case in North Carolina. It's a very famous case. Chris Bledsoe, he has a book out called UFO of God. It's a bestseller, and I think they're making it into a movie now. I've known Chris and his family for a very long time. So I went down there. He took me through the whole Cape Fear River, showed me where everything took place, then took me back to the house that they abandoned because when they arrived home, their backyard is forest. And he was walking me and another friend, in the front of the forest saying, and when we came home, they started walking out of the forest. And me and my young son ran inside the house. And so I had a Minolta camera and I just kept flicking pictures, and actually one came out. So it's in the Extraterrestrial Species Almanac. It's at the very end. and I call it the unknown alien because it doesn't look like really anything that we've seen before. Its legs ended where our knees are, and then it had this long torso, long neck, sort of oval shaped head, and it was wearing goggles and it was holding a light source. And I immediately knew that those were interdimensional goggles and an interdimensional light source, right? And
so
anyway,
instead of the bug eyes, it had literally goggles on, like night vision goggles.
It had goggles. Yeah, they were like, not like our goggles, but they were goggles.
Okay.
So when I really lightened it up, so it was sent through my friend to the government, and they said that they hadn't seen those beings since 1958. Yeah.
Let me be clear that I understand this. Did you see it with your eyes, or it just came out in the picture?
No, it came out in the picture. I did not see it with my eyes, but I felt presences because I'm also a sensitive. I've been like that ever since I was a little boy. And but I could feel it, and I could hear things rustling in the forest. The next night, his 4 kids wanted to take me there and tell me all their experiences. So we went back to that house, and I heard rustling again. One of the girlfriends of one of the sons took a picture, and there was in the background standing a praying mantis being.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have goosebumps. I've heard about this before. People have said praying mantis things, and I go, don't talk. I say, please don't say that. People are going to think you're crazy. And then
they're part of abductions.
So I stopped myself. You'll be proud. And I said, Make, stop it. Who am I to judge? Who am I to judge?
Right.
But when we talk about this, it's like, what? So it's a life-size praying mantis. What is it?
It's in a human body form. It stands on 2 legs, but it has a praying mantis head. It has 2 arms with fingers, right? They don't look like our fingers.
Yeah.
And a lot of these are now being photographed at the Bradshaw Ranch, which is a bigger paranormal hotspot than Skinwalker Ranch outside of Sedona. Yeah, I have that in the UFO Hotspot book. That's in this book, UFO Hotspot. Ooh, there we go. Compendium, all the places to visit before you die or are abducted.
I love it. I love it. Or are we going to take a break? Okay. So much to talk about. We'll be right back. Craig, stay with us. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back, everyone, to We Are Not Alone. Craig Campobasso joins us today talking about his book, The Different Species of Extraterrestrials. And we've just learned about some aliens that only appear in photographs. You might be in the room with them, but we don't see them because they're in another dimension. So you've told me about the praying mantis. The first alien that you talked about, was that a lizard-type creature? You said it's short.
It seemed to be saurian, maybe based, or also maybe a cross between reptilian and a gray. It seemed to be a different species. When I saw it, I heard in my mind serpens, which means maybe it was from serpens. And the photograph that was taken afterwards was filled with plasma. And Chris told me every time he photographs something extraterrestrial, the very next photograph is always filled with plasma. So.
Okay, so are you used to this now? I don't want to become jaded when I hear these stories. Do you become jaded like, oh, yeah, it's just another reptile. Oh, it's just another praying mantis. It's just another gray. Are you still in awe of this?
Well, I'm in awe of it, but I've been researching it, since I was 26.
Okay.
and I'm 65 now. So I've really, I have met lots of people who are, like I said, are having face-to-face contact now. In the book and in the documentary, which we released earlier this year, you will meet a man who has been having face-to-face with human clarion beings, right? And he explained, he has pictures of them. I'm going to show you one right now.
Yeah, let me see. I'm really curious.
Nelfa.
Yeah, almost, is it an AI image or is that a real image?
No, it's a real image.
Okay.
It's a real image. And you can see they have more petite little faces, and
they're beautiful.
Small and absolutely beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the documentary, he explains who they are, why they came, who's still here, who's not here. We have another, I met many contactees of Alpha Centaurians, which are Nordic beings. And Sixto Paz Wells has been in contact with them for many years, well over hundreds and hundreds of contacts. And that's Paul Hynek right there, who's J.L. and Hynek's son in the documentary that you were just shown. He talks about the Men in Black, which is associated with Project Blue Book. And
that's where Men in Black, the movies, came from, inspired by.
Yeah. But they're not sweet guys like the Men in Black.
Oh,
they're not that. No, they're not. They're sinister.
Okay. So Craig, because we have a limited amount of time, tell me about the different species, and do we need to be afraid?
No, we don't need to be afraid. Most of them are absolutely beautiful beings who are here to just help raise consciousness on the planet. They do have consciousness raising programs, which we can't get into right now because it would take too long to explain. They're here to just oversee everything because this is a dualistic planet. And we're moving towards becoming fully conscious like they are. So they're here to help with those final steps of grooming us towards that.
So how do these different species get along? I mean, are they all here on the planet? I know you said some are interdimensional, but do they all coexist in some form, in some dimension here on Earth?
They do. They actually they all coexist on giant motherships, and if they're interdimensional beings, they can go between the dimensions inside of the ship because the ships are also multidimensional.
Do you have a favorite species? So your book talks about the different species: the Greys, the reptilians, the Nordics, the praying mantis. I have an open mind. I'm learning.
I tend to really like studying the human extraterrestrials that are from the Pleiades. Those are also Nordics, but some of them are blue, some of them are brown, some of them have Asian eyes as well. Sirians, Arcturians, Andromedans. We go through all of those. Those are very, very highly evolved races.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to be a UAP or UFO investigator? Well, if you've ever thought maybe it's something you want to do, you might start working with MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network, very well known worldwide. Well, up next, we're going to meet Mike Russo, and he talks about what it's like to work with the organization and how people these days report what they see and how these investigators look into those backyard videos they send in to determine if they're valid. We just looked at a video that somebody had sent. Mike, what do you think it is? I know you said it's for us to decide. It's definitely a UFO. It's unidentified, but do you think it's from someplace else, or what do you think?
You're putting me on the spot here.
I know.
I do have a little bit of a bias. I'll say that because I saw something remarkably similar on my own. If this is what I saw, which I'm not saying it is, but if it is, then it's not from here. But I can't 100% say that. My gut, I'm 90% sure though that this is probably not a human thing.
Okay. So all these investigations, the people that call you up, what percentage turns out to be, it's a hoax or misinterpretation, not real? The majority?
About 95%.
95%. Okay.
Yeah.
And the ones that do turn out to be real, I guess there's just no explanation for?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to sort of give away all the secrets, as it were, but there's certain things that emerge or whatnot that I'm picking up on to be able to know who's not fibbing and such. There's things you can't fake.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to the next case that we've got here.
Same type of deal with the military chasing UFOs, as it were. And this is modern day, by the way. This happened just a couple years ago, and the other one was just like last year. This was out in the desert. There was a witness who was okay. So this is interesting. This is what we call the Oz effect, and it was broad daylight. Granted, there wasn't a whole lot of people in the area. There's usually cars on the road, but at this particular day, this was the only car on the road was this person, and they saw something in the sky. They literally stopped their car in the middle of the street in the middle of the day, got out and looked up to see what this thing was. So there we're seeing a picture that they drew on the day that it happened. They described a translucent craft, call it a flying saucer, I guess, right? It was a circular craft. Going by memory here, it was like 200 feet tall and 300 feet wide. When he said that it was translucent, my first question was, well, if it was translucent, how did you know it was there? And then the response was, there was a sort of like a perimeter edge that was visible and a distinctive hole in the center of it. Shortly after that, a military fighter jet comes cruising down as though it was chasing the object. So it went in the same path as the object. That was quite fascinating to me. We're talking potentially about this, cloaking technology that we hear about in the UFO world, as it were. And, we have the same theme that the military was following the craft.
Now, when your witness told you about this, were they scared, or I know I asked you this before, were you scared? Were you in awe? You said when you had your sighting, you were at peace. Mm-hmm. This, I think, would be, the witness, were they scared? What was their reaction?
No, they were not scared. They were, sort of taken that, like, awestruck, excited, I guess perhaps, but not scared. But they held it in for quite some time without telling anybody because of the stigma that thankfully we are now, sort of slowly shattering that stigma, and people are coming forward more so now than ever.
Mike, do you guys offer any counseling or refer them to people if they just need to talk about it? Are they able to talk about it enough with you, or do they need to talk to other people as well to kind of process it?
Yeah, so that's thanks for asking. That's the biggest part of MUFON. We're sort of like your first step, as it were, in your process. This is a personal journey for everyone, in my opinion, and we're a great first place to go. Sometimes I can sort of do it all myself, or other members of the team, depending on who they talk to. Other times we will refer them out to whether it's a therapist, hypnotic regression people, group counseling, free or otherwise. So, it's sort of like you have to talk to the people first to understand, what it is their needs are, and then we can, help refer them out on a case-by-case basis.
In our last segment, perhaps one of the most important, we're going to take a deep dive into a documentary that's explosive and groundbreaking that everybody is talking about, The Age of Disclosure. It has some of the highest-ranking members of the military and the government coming forward and talking about disclosure. and things that perhaps you're afraid to hear or don't want to hear, a cover-up. We have a special activist with us today, a disclosure activist, Stephen Bassett, and he talks to us about the possible impact of this documentary and if it brings us one step closer to disclosure. This is right up your alley. This is your life's work, disclosure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us how you feel about this. What is the impact? What can we expect? What's next?
We've been waiting for this doc for a long time. Over the years, I've talked frequently about the fact that the film industry, symbolized by Hollywood, which is pretty robust, has not engaged this issue as documentaries. They just wouldn't do it. And as a result, we made our own documentaries. And they weren't too bad. And over the years, the technology got better and easier. And there are dozens and hundreds, actually, of these documentaries out there. Were made by I will call the citizen activist, journalist, filmmaking, research community. Through those years, the government said there's nothing there. It's absolutely nothing there. And so you do the best you can under those circumstances. So this was a breakthrough. We knew that they realized in Hollywood that, yeah, this is the biggest topic ever. Let's make docs too. We've made hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars off of the science fiction films with ETs in them. So clearly the interest in documentaries would be pretty high. So they did that, but not the film yet. That came to us courtesy of Dan Hara. And as a result, the Age of Disclosure was born. It's been in development, I think, for 3 years at least. And what happened is he, with all of his expertise in filmmaking, got together with Luis Elizondo, one of the key witnesses that came forward in 2017. And Lou helped him start to bring in the people that he would ideally like to have, because he obviously had those connections. And as one more would be added, others would be more comfortable. And so before it was done, they had 34. And I think there's 36 or 7 in the film. 34 witnesses, not just any witnesses. It's the most powerful assemblage of people of rank and station speaking to this issue ever put together. And it is groundbreaking for that reason. That is the power of this doc. So we have 3 senators. We have 4 sitting members of Congress, a 5th member of Congress that retired a while ago. And then, so that's 8. And then we've got military, Admiral Gallaudet, General Clapper, and so forth and so forth. At least 8 or 9 military people are involved. And you've got researchers from the early days of the development of this issue, such as Hal Puthoff, Eric Davis, and many others. And it just hammers these points home. Just about every key point, every key issue that was really relevant, certainly to the truth embargo, was brought up in this film. This is what we've been waiting for a long time. And Dan Farah has provided it, along with Lou Elizondo and everybody in that film. This may be the thing that finally ends the truth embargo.
Right. So I was going to ask you, is this what you've been waiting for and dreaming for and working for really all of your life? Are you satisfied with this? And do you feel it's going to make a difference?
Oh, yeah. The last 30 years, not my whole life. The last 30 years. Oh, it's going to make a difference. It is already making a difference. It's generating huge amounts of media. It is really, there's only one other piece I would like to see as part of this preparation would be the full UAP Disclosure Act passed.
Yeah.
The first half was passed a couple years ago, but they keep resubmitting the full act. We need that. But other than that, everything else is in place. The Congress has come forward. They're speaking out. They've held hearings and briefings. There has been a huge amount of media coverage, and we've had witnesses coming forward and so forth. So we're pretty much there, and I think this takes us there. Now, why is that important? Because the truth embargo can only end one way, by disclosure with a capital D, which is why I love the fact that disclosure is in the name of this film and in the name of the UAP Disclosure Act. Capital D disclosure. That's the term I came up with 20 years ago. And that's the formal confirmation of this presence, engaging the human race by the heads of state. The question is, which head of state goes first? And I can say now that really there is nothing preventing the President of the United States from stepping out tomorrow in the Oval Office and making a relatively brief announcement, maybe a little build up ahead of time. Biggest announcement of all time, going to happen 8 o'clock tonight, whatever. And simply say that I have done what is necessary to confirm what you have heard now repeatedly from people in government and also the private sector. We do have a technologically advanced non-human engagement. They do have craft. We have some of those craft. And you're going to know a lot more about that because we're going to be certainly holding hearings. There's going to be press conferences. And welcome to the new world. And that's it. That's all he has to do. He doesn't have to say anything else. Doesn't have to try to bring anything out. Just confirm that we are not alone. You ask the president a question like that, and they're always going to stay back, right? They want to engage it on their terms.
Right.
Something like this. So we'll see. But look, it doesn't take a lot of thought to understand that the president is the one that has to disclose, and the stage is set.
Yeah.
If he steps out tomorrow, there will be no jokes. I'm pretty sure there won't be any jokes. There'll be no political consequences. There'll probably be huge political benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a lock on a Nobel Prize. And if he does that, that will be his legacy. Hundreds, if not thousands of years from now, this moment will be remembered in history, whereas all the other stuff will be long forgotten. So this is an extraordinary opportunity. Obviously, I've mentioned this on many, many podcasts. It's coming up elsewhere. The platform is in place. The necessary things to make it appropriate and responsible are there. Now, the problem that our president has is that other nations have heads of states as well.
Right.
And one of them could come forward with and announce it. Maybe they'll provide some proof. Maybe there'll be a side presentation where they show what they've got in their files. And that president, that head of state, will be the disclosure head of state. And our president will be second. And there's no prizes for second.
Well, thank you so much for watching our special We Are Not Alone here on Queen City News Plus. For more episodes and to watch more complete episodes, all you need to do is download our app. And you can do that on your Amazon Fire Stick, Roku, or Apple TV device. And also, you can watch us anytime on Queen City News YouTube. Well, I'm May K. Beeler, host of We Are Not Alone. Thank you so much for joining us, and tune in for future controversial, educational, entertaining, and mind-blowing episodes.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.